Yo, Wise, and the unofficial release to My Hero Academia chapter 320 is officially out. I don't know if I should say it like that, but I'm kind of having a hard time getting a feel for how I feel about My Hero Academia. Not the series as a whole, but this chapter. Like, it was a really solid chapter. It was very sad and emotional, and it had me thinking a lot. But when I read and reread and reread, I haven't yet felt fulfilled, not once. And it's probably because the nature of this chapter wasn't a fulfilling chapter. And what I mean by that is, this is very much a stage chapter, or a chapter that is connected to another piece of a chapter, which is probably My Hero Academia chapter 321. And it's evident with how the ending of this chapter was so much abrupt. It kind of makes you want to see what happens next, but it's not a cliffhanger, so it's not something that really makes you excited for next chapter. It just feels like the chapter just stops, and it's not that it's anything wrong with that, it's just that that's probably why I don't feel as fulfilled when I do my rereads. By the way, like, comment, subscribe. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and we can only get there if you subscribe. Also, if you're in the market for the physical covers of the My Hero Academia mangas, click the link in the description below where you can go to my affiliate store where you can buy My Hero Academia manga, and I obviously get a little piece of the pie too, so you will be supporting me and also getting your My Hero Academia mangas as well. My Hero Academia chapter 320 is titled Deku versus Class A, and obviously this chapter is focused heavily on the confrontation between Deku trying to escape and Class 1A trying to bring Deku to his senses so that they can all go back to Class A and UA together. Now, with the scans that we currently have, the translation is kind of wonky, so it's not good to take the things that we hear in this chapter for truth, but that doesn't stop this chapter from being a really solid and also emotional chapter. Two things that I really want to applaud Horikoshi for is his paneling and also the way he is able to express the emotions of the characters that is on the screen. In this chapter, there seems to be an abnormally high amount of facial shots, or at least facial features, that are shown from almost every character that is expressed in the chapter, where you not only will be able to know how they're feeling based on the dialogue, but simply based on how their face is expressed with Horikoshi's art. It made me even more sad, especially because Deku is constantly trying to get away from them, and they're just showing their faces, and their faces looks like they're just needing Deku to come home. The paneling was something that I also loved about this chapter, and I guess it's not anything too crazy, but a lot of the backgrounds in the panels and also the format of the panels made the story seems more lively for some reason, and it's probably because it's not conventional angles that Horikoshi is kind of showing. He's allowing us to see the city that they're fighting in, but he's doing it in ways that it just makes it seems a little bit more better for some reason. And if you reread the chapter after watching this video, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about when you're going through and you're seeing the way that Horikoshi is paneling everything. Now, the Class A characters in this chapter and their individual altercation with Deku in this chapter, just beautiful. Seeing the side characters like Jiro, Ojiro, Shota, Sero, Sato, Shoji, all of these characters have some emphasis that Deku has given to them, which is a huge reason why they are trying to have Deku come back, and it's not just because they're a member of the team. It made everything way more lively for me, but it made it even more sad knowing that Deku is quite literally saying, I know I did all these things for you all. I know that we all are pretty much friends, but I have to leave. And then Deku constantly saying he's sorry to everyone he's encountering, but he has to continuously try to get away from everybody, and then another person tries to interfere with him getting away, and then the cycle repeats for that character. I think sad is an understatement for what is going on. It's sad initially, but it's repetitive, which makes it even more sad. I think easily the best confrontation that Deku had with one of these side characters in Class 1A had to be when Deku talked to Ojiro. When Ojiro brought up the fact that Deku did fight for him and was frustrated for him when it comes to Shinso brainwashing him, ultimately making him want to drop out of the final tournament, that was just okay. It was just a recall back to the beginning of the series where Deku affected Ojiro. But it's just something along the fact that when he said, we can't overlook the fact that you are fatigued and try to do everything by yourself, and again Horikoshi putting his facial emotions on display in that exact panel, it just hit me differently, especially because Deku immediately responded with, listen, I have to do this because if I come back, everyone's going to be in danger. Off One is going to try to attack him and take him away, and he cannot allow that to happen, so that is the reason why he left. And again, it's not just the fact that he said that, but the imagery of Horikoshi literally showing Deku look so menacing is the reason why this is the best altercation to me when it comes to these side characters in this chapter. Another thing that I liked about this chapter was that we found out that Class A wasn't just sitting around lollygagging over the last couple of months while Deku has been away, and instead many of them have developed new super moves over the course of this time after the Paranumber Liberation War arc. We got a new move from Bakugo, Jiro, I believe Ojiro with the little tail grab, and we got a new move from Tokoyami, which is freaking awesome. So again, that just means that this is very much a realistic situation where they're trying to become great heroes and they're not stagnant and just waiting for Deku to come back, and they're actually active in trying to better themselves to be able to help their society in the future. However, in almost every single instance of somebody using their super move, none of them worked against Deku because none of them was strong enough to be able to detain Deku for a significant period of time. Now, Bakugo's new super move, Blast Landmine, which probably is different in the official translation, wasn't used to attack or detain Deku, and instead it was used to clear the area when Deku tried to use Smoke Screen initially to get away from Class A. Bars. But Sero, Jiro, Ojiro, Tokoyami, and Momo tried to detain Deku and ultimately failed, and that's very much a given because Shoto is significantly stronger than them. However, that does not take away the fact that I still very much enjoy the idea that they didn't stop training and they were still trying to become better heroes for the future. Now, I think I've completed talking about the side characters. Now let's talk about the main characters and how that truly affected this chapter for the better. Bakugo and Shoto, these two characters here, these two guys right here connected to Deku, these two guys are just lovely in this chapter. Although Bakugo didn't have the shine that I ultimately thought he was going to have, being that he was going to try to attack Deku and be the initiator of this entire altercation, his wordplay is still very much in top tier asset to his character. And more than that, going back to what I said in the beginning of this video, his facial expression of the little smile that he has on his face talking to Deku is just... it's just so good. Bakugo was the first person to mention that he quote-unquote heard that Deku unlocked the 4th and the 6th user's quirk. And obviously, Bakugo is the person that knows all the quirks inside of Once for All. However, it's more likely that Endeavor was the one who told him that Deku actually unlocked them. And he told Deku that he looked completely different even though he's still a nerd. Now, the moment that I conceded to Bakugo being one of the best characters in the entire story when it comes to dialogue is when he pretty much tells Deku that he thinks that Deku thinks less of everyone else because he's finally able to do something. And allow me to translate all that right now. Being that Deku has One for All, which is the quirk that is meant to take down All for One, and is subsequently the strongest quirk in the entire series, Deku just automatically feels like it's his obligation to be the only person to be able to solve the problem with All for One because it's the nature of the quirk. And in that, he views everyone else as extra, being that they don't have the quirk One for All, which is the quirk that is meant to take down All for One. The reason why I like this so much is because this is very much the ideology or the mindset that Bakugo has been having throughout the entirety of the series, because he's always been able to do almost anything with his quirk because his quirk has always been very good, and he views everyone else as extras and stepping stones for him to get to the top, even if he might need help to be able to achieve his goal. So essentially, the person that understands this concept the most is the person that's telling Deku that this is the concept that he is believing in. It's just good. It's just good to me. And something that's just as good is Shoto coming in at the last moment when Deku's mask falls off and he's crying, telling everyone, just don't care about me right now, just let me leave. When Shoto does a skyscraper-sized, heaven-piercing ice wall and tells Deku, what is the problem, why can't you cry, that again hit me so hard because just like Bakugo talking to Deku in the beginning of the chapter, Shoto asking Deku if the burden that he's feeling is preventing him from being able to truly cry, and that he should allow his classmates or his friends to be able to take on that burden with him, is literally a callback and something that Shoto truly understands, because Endeavor and Shoto is in that exact same situation. And it makes it even more better knowing that Deku knows all this stuff is true, but he still doesn't give a crap, and he tells everyone, listen, I want you to stop doing this, let me go, I don't want you to be in danger. Now, I am very curious as to what My Hero Academia chapter 321 entails, because just like I said in the beginning of this video, the end of the chapter was very abrupt, as if it's like a continuation type of chapter where you need to read My Hero Academia chapter 321 to truly get a fulfilling feel, because the end of this chapter focused heavily on Tsu, saying that she doesn't want to cry anymore, that Deku is very important and should very much be able to express his feelings, whether he's afraid, or whether he's willing to cry, and that her and the rest of Class A will not allow Deku to just go by himself. But we still haven't really gotten in-depth conversation from Ida, Ochako, and Shoto and Bakugo a little bit more. So it seems like the main top 5 people, being Shoto, Bakugo, Ida, Ochako, and Tsu, are going to be the ones that more so sway Deku to changing his mind. We also got Kirishima, Aoyama, Toru Hagakure, who are the traitors, but I'm not going to talk about that all in this video. However, you should watch this video right now because that connects directly to this chapter. Wing His Own every single day.